about today. My name is John, and this is definitely Top Heights Electricals and Electricians. So glad to have you here. And we are talking about the public safety. This is when it comes to electrical or the national grid. Where are you streaming from? Let me know and let us get everything going on. Today we are talking about many things, including the transformer. We will talk about the supply to the transformer. We'll talk about the secondary supply, which is the low voltage, either in three-phase or in single phase, both of which must be maintained in a manner that will provide safety to the members of the public. But what if there is a predisposition or an exposure to these conductors to the members of the public? What happens? There is a lot of data to show that indeed there has been a level of recklessness when it comes to the handling of these power lines, which has affected the members of the public in the manner in which they have encountered several burns or death. And today, I want to tell you the most areas that you can avoid together with your family to ensure that you are safe. Where are you streaming from? And hit the likes up if you are fired up for this session of today. And if you want to know a thing or two, are you an electrical technician venturing into this field? So glad to have you. And I can guarantee you that we will learn a lot when it comes to this topic of safety. And if you are here as a follower or a supporter, definitely you know that I welcome you, and I normally refer to you as my top boss. So top boss, welcome. Feel free here. Feel right at home, and know that we will learn a lot when it comes to electrical safety. But why is it so important to understand this? It is because so many people are using electricity, and we definitely want to ensure that everything goes on well with the same aspect. Introducing you to my board, I would wish you to, have a look at what I have here as my drawing. At the far end there, I have that transformer. As you can see, I have the transformer there, and it is important to note that that transformer is fed by a, a, a 11,000 volt supply. The three lines that are dropping to that transformer there, we have the red phase, we have the yellow phase, and we have the blue phase. These three lines are supplying this transformer with power. Then this transformer will step down the voltage all the way to phase, and also phase and the neutral supply. This will be an output to feed our homes, or probably the entity that we are in, be it a job, be it a school, so that we may be able to use that electricity. All right. Now, safety is a major concern, definitely. Why? Because safety will ensure that these power lines are set in the manner that will not pose a risk, to the general members of the public. And in most cases, you find that people are subjected to the risk either knowingly or unknowingly. So if you find that there are power lines that are definitely passing near your home or near your school or your place of work, you need to be very, very careful when dealing with them. If you identify a fault, I always say it is good for you to, contact the authority that is supplying the power, so that they may be able to fix themselves. You might be in a position where you understand electricity, but still it is not good for you to take matters into your own hands. Myself, I understand a lot of electricity, but I am limited in my uh, duty performance because the national grid is not under my jurisdiction to interfere with it in any way. Now, in most cases, you find that to begin with, in your home, probably there is a tree that is leaning towards these power lines, or if not leaning, the branches are touching on these power lines. Now, safety measure is to ensure that you do not come in contact with that tree. You need to ensure that you contact these power supply. In our case, we call them Kenya Power. We refer to them as Kenya Power because they supply power. They are the ones who are in charge of the grid, and we rely upon them for such cases. Now, in the event that your tree is leaning on these power lines or is in contact, the branches are in contact with these three power lines, especially the high tension power lines, then you need to contact them so that they may come and cut the trees they themselves. Do not attempt to perform that exercise, because once a branch is in contact with these power lines or even one power line, then that whole tree is energized. Remember, a tree has a lot of water, especially if it is not dry, or if at all it is still growing, has a lot of water. Now, to some extent, water is a good conductor of electricity. And when you get in contact with that tree, meaning that a major part of the tree, which is water, will actually electrocute you. These are incidences that have happened. You have also seen a case whereby a tree which is in contact with this power line is actually dried up. And if it was a human being, it would be catastrophic. Sometimes you may experience where a scenario whereby these power lines have even started fires, for such cases whereby a tree was in contact with them. So you really must be on the cautious side. Now, if at all a member of your family, let's say a son, because we boys are the ones who are very keen with this, and we normally want to ensure that everything is safe at home. We may take a tool and try to cut down the tree or try to prune the branches. There's a danger there. Why? Because now that tree in a way is carrying some electricity with it. In fact, higher level. Now, anyone that comes in contact with that tree will definitely be electrocuted. You need to inform members of the family that they should not interfere with a tree that is in contact with the power line. So in case you have such a tree, what is the procedure? You definitely need to call the people who are mandated to cut these trees. This is definitely the grid supplier or the electricity grid country, so that they will take the necessary precautions. This involves switching off the entire line, and then they can schedule, or they can come and cut these trees. This switching is normally scheduled. So they schedule a day or an hour where they will switch off the entire line, and then they will come and, using the safety precautions, they usually have their vehicles or their machinery to cut down these branches or to cut down the trees. So that is normally the procedure. If you're already getting some value, hit the likes up. Thank you so much for the people who are joining in. And if you'll be watching this video on record mode, finally, I appreciate your presence here. My name is John, and I'm fired up to ensure that you are safe, of course, together with your loved ones. Another important thing that you must be able to take care of is that in your apartment, now this one focuses on people who are in urban setups. You might be having a balcony that is extending so close to these power lines. And in one of the videos, I already talked about it. If you are living in such a setup, then you are predisposing your children into a lot of danger. Why? Because in their day-to-day activities, they may be tempted to touch those power lines and experience a thing or two. Kids are very curious, especially boys. They will try to touch those power lines. That is, of course, if the power lines or the conductors are in close proximity to the building that you are living in. There are other houses that are very close to this transformer. And I will be talking about another danger when it comes to the transformer in a bit. But we are talking about these power lines. Assuming that these power lines are passing in a level whereby they are very close to the second floor, let's say, or the first floor. So these power lines are very close. Now, if the owner of the building constructed this building too close to the power lines, meaning they breached the way leaves or the power line, way, then it means that anyone can be very close to these power lines if they wanted to, especially the children. Now, children will either stretch their hands if these conductors are very close to them, or they may take a metallic rod and stretch it. Even a wire, a good conductor, let's say we are talking about copper, we're talking about aluminium. They may, if they access that material, they will definitely try to reach out to these conductors. The problem now is, once they are in contact with these conductors, it means that they will be injecting themselves current. You know, electricity is always trying to find a easier route for it to flow. Now, for us humans, whenever you get in contact with that conductor, electricity will flow through you because that is a very safe or a very easier route. Now, in the process of doing that, you will suffer a lot in terms of electric burns. You'll be injured, your skin will burn, or you will probably face a lot of injuries throughout your body. In many cases, you find that if, for instance, you touched the conductor or the power line with your hand, then it will try to get out. It may try to get out through your abdomen, through your feet, or even any part of the body. That part that electricity will be trying to escape will cause a lot of injury, if not burns, to you. Sometimes people even lose their lives, and that process is very painful. If someone survives, it will take long for them to heal the wounds, and they will do a lot of pain. If at all it is a child that has been subjected to that, you can imagine the kind of pain that they will be going through. So you want to avoid that, and the precaution that you need to take is to ensure that you relocate from such a building, whereby if, for instance, you are a tenant and this person constructed the home so close to this power line, you really need to reconsider your stay in that building or in that apartment. Smash the like button if you're already getting some value, and if you are living in such a setup, let me know. And are you already planning of moving out? Because you know what, these cases are out there, these cases are happening. If you visit a hospital, if you visit, the insurance companies, you will encounter with this. Or if you probably visit the office that is dealing with public safety and ask them, if they are kind enough to share, they will share a lot of information concerning the same. So you need to be on the cautious or the safe side by ensuring that you avoid a house that is very close to these power lines. Now we talked about the transformer. Also, there are houses which have balconies that are, facing the transformer or so close to the transformer. It could be a window, it could be a door, or generally that building is closed, so that when you open a window, a door, it is so close to this structure here. So there is a problem there, because you know what, again, if your child gets in contact with the transformer, parts here, then they are risking their lives, because at the transformer level we also have, these settings, or we have these apparatus whereby they are connected to high voltages. They are connected to, these three conductors that you have mentioned, which each of them have 11,000 volts. Again, if they are in contact with the low voltage power lines, it could be a single phase or a three phase. Still, they are predisposing themselves to a lot of danger. And number three, the transformer itself should not be touched, because the transformer is actually having a lot of high voltages at that particular point. I remember when I was on attachment in Kenya Power, we were warned never to come in contact with the transformer. As much as it was idle on the ground for so many months or years, when testing it, there are procedures that you're supposed to test it. And you cannot touch that transformer with your bare hands, because it can cause a lot of serious burns on you, or it can electrocute you, leading to a lot of serious injuries on you. So that the fact that the transformer is there and it is working means that it is still exposing your children or even yourself to a lot of danger. Now, that is concerning the people that are living in residential setups, or probably in urban setups where the houses, or these buildings are in close proximity to the power line. Now, let us talk about the power lines that are faulty, whereby they have, been knocked by a vehicle. Find that someone knocked the pole with a vehicle, and then they flew away, or they, just left the scene abruptly. So probably the pole was even rotten and it fell on the ground. These will now lead to these wires, be it the high tension wires or the low voltage wires, to lie, or to lay bare on the ground. Sometimes they may not come in contact with each other, or they may not short circuit, that is the phase and the neutral. And this will mean that this power line is still energized despite the fact that it is on the ground. Now, in that scenario, someone who is very, very naive, or is very ignorant, may attempt to touch these wires, either by removing them out of the road, or by any means, coming in contact with these power lines. Then they will be injecting themselves with voltages. They may, uh, uh, you know, encounter serious burns there because of that act, because again, electricity will be trying to find an escape route through them to the ground, in that incidence burning their skin, and it may even lead to death. Remember, we talked about electric shock and the impact on different people. There are people who are impacted by electric shock in the sense that they will either be burned severely, or they might even lose their lives. And there are other people who, upon receiving an electric shock, will still continue with their lives like nothing happened. Now, you never know who will react in what way to different currents of electricity. The good thing that you need to do as a responsible person is to ensure that you stay clear of electrical infrastructure. So if you encounter the power lines that are on the ground, you stay clear. Now, it is also important for you to inform the members of your family that in case they find these power lines on the ground, and it's good for you to tell them in advance prior. If you are getting this information from me, ensure that you educate them. The reason why we are here as Top Heights Electricals and Electricians, the reason why I am John and I always call you my top boss and encourage you, is so that you may be able to also educate your members, or on these risk issues, ensure that you tell them how they may expose themselves to a risk. So we normally begin with the end in mind. Here at Top Heights, we normally ask ourselves, what is the likelihood of this event happening? And once we start with the end in mind, we now begin by addressing it. So it is important for you to, begin with the end in mind, imagining that in case this scenario were to happen near my home, then what would I do? Of course, is to caution your loved ones. Ensure that you tell them, in case you see a power line that is on the ground, do not interfere with it. Do anything possible to avoid it. Yes. If you are already finding some value, let me know. Smash the like button if you are getting some great value out of our today's stream. And let me also know, where are you streaming this live stream from? I will really, really appreciate your feedback as well as your time here. Yes, so we are talking about safety today, and this is definitely a very important aspect when it comes to electricity and basically the public, interaction with the electrical supply. So this today we are talking about generally, if you are out there, if you are in public interacting with electricity, you must be able to be cautious. Sometimes you find that power lines are not on the ground, but the conductor itself is broken. It could be there was a vehicle which was very long. Is it long? Which was very, high in terms of height. Can we say that? I'm not good in English. You may correct me, but you might find a vehicle that, I was carrying a lot of luggage on the carrier there, and then it got in contact with this conductor here at high speed, and especially for the neutral, and then the conductor was broken. So the conductor will be sagging at the pole. Now there is a problem there. This conductor, especially the neutral, whenever it is broken, it leads to something that we refer to as a floating neutral. A floating neutral is basically a live conductor. In fact, its voltage or its current is very high. If you try to test using a tester there is very, very bright light coming from your tester, because assuming this low voltage phase conductor has gone through a certain establishment or a certain load, let's say a bulb or probably several appliances, and then when it is returning to the source, which is the transformer, and of course you know that it returns through the neutral. Yeah, that is why the neutral is normally referred to as a return path for electricity. If that return path is broken, then there is some pending current there. That current raises even the voltage in the appliances. And that current there, if you attempt to touch it with bare hands, you might be electrocuted instantly to death. So this actually summarizes the fact that if at all you encounter a fault in electrical supply, be it near your home, be it on the road, be it outside there, do not attempt to do anything with it. The only thing that you can do is to call the responsible personnel to come and fix that issue. Because if you touch this power line, either knowingly or unknowingly, you are subjecting yourself to a lot of danger. There are some people who play with the stay wire. Sometimes the stay wire may be in contact with one of the live conductors there, be it the high tension lines or the low voltage power lines. If it is in contact and it doesn't have an insulation or a shackle, then you are at risk of an electric shock that is coming from these power lines. and I've been sharing about that, and I will still share more to do with that. So in terms of safety, you must ensure that you are very safe, and you must ensure that you stay clear of these power lines so that you may not bring problems to yourself. Also, it is important to ensure that you educate your family, or you can show them this video and tell them that John has cautioned you as his top boss to ensure that you stay clear of power lines in case you encounter them, and you do not risk your life. All right, because like I said, different people react to electric shocks differently. Now also, whenever you find that there is a pole that is rotten, especially at the base, you might encounter a pole which, for instance, has stayed for a very long time. And in most cases, you find that the national grid supplier or the national grid maintainer is not aware because they do not have these records. So that pole which has stayed there has rotten, and by virtue of the weakness that is brought about by that rot, this pole anytime can fall down. Now, the problem is if there is anyone near that area, it might fall on them. Can that be you? Should that be a member of your family? That should not be you or a member of your family. Stay clear of these power lines, and especially the wooden poles which are rotting. Stay clear of them. Some people may sit underneath these power lines or may lean on these poles. Now, imagine a pole is completely rotten at the base and then you lean on it. These conductors may come in contact with each other, and in that process of clashing, especially between the neutral and the phase, they break. And as that wire, is falling down, it comes in contact with someone, they might be electrocuted again. So you must be very cautious about that, especially when you're dealing with the wooden poles. Another unfortunate event that may happen is if this pole falls on your home or your house, and especially for the wooden houses, then these cables might clash. I mean, these conductors might clash and release sparks. These sparks may ignite a fire, especially when you're talking about a wooden house. That fire, may escalate and burn down the entire property, especially in your absence. It will be very catastrophic because the fire would engulf the entire home. And if you are not present, then it will be difficult to put off that or to put out that fire if, for instance, it is only the children that are at home. And another event is whereby these poles have leaned on a metallic house or the roof, which is definitely metallic. They may cause the entire roof to be energized. Or if the house is a metallic structure, then the structure is in contact with a face, the entire structure is energized. Imagine waking up in the morning and then these all fell on your roof, all right? And then a member of the family gets in contact with the energized metallic structure, they will be electrocuted, leading to serious burns or even death. So in case you find that your electricity pole that is supplying your home with power has fallen on your house, then you need to vacate there immediately. That is, if at all you are in the house, you need to move out immediately and seek help. The national supplier will, first of all, in that scenario, remove the fuses at the transformer. If, for instance, that short circuit has not cut the fuses at the transformer. Sometimes these fuses, are connected directly after they blow. Now, if at all those conductors are, touching your home or your house which is metallic, then you need to move out immediately together with your loved ones, your children, your wife, or your husband, or your mother, your father, and all those. You need to move out immediately, seek help, so that they will fix that problem. They will come and ensure that that pole is either replaced, or that power line is fixed and restored to normalcy before you can move back in, so that you are safe. If you are already gaining some knowledge and you are here and you have not subscribed to my channel, subscribe, because you know what, this is not the only thing that we talk about. We talk about much more. If you're interested in this field of electrical, then this is your home. You don't need to look for any other. And if you are already subscribed, thank you so much. I will not disappoint. All you need to do is to tell me what more information would you want me to talk about, and I will definitely be talking about that. So that has been my time, and I appreciate you. Mchizi Junior, thank you so much for your feedback. You're saying wiring diagram, sir, please teach us next time. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mchuzi Junior, for that feedback. Yeah, and I will definitely be covering that. So Mchizi Junior is asking for a wiring diagram, and I will be talking about that. I'll be providing that. I assume, Mchizi Junior, you're talking about wiring diagram for a single phase installation, especially a domestic wiring, and I'll be sharing that now that I shared about the consumer unit as well as the meter box. So I'll be talking about that definitely. So those are some of the tips that I had for today, especially when it comes to electrical safety. That has been my time. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you'll be watching this on the recorded version, I really appreciate your presence here. Hit the likes button. And if you have not subscribed, then subscribe to my channel. My name is John, and this is Top Heights Electricals and Electricians. Thank you so much for your time. See you in the next one. Bye bye.